Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the primal roots of our everyday shopping habits. Look, let's be real for a second. Have you ever walked into a store just intending to buy paper towels, and somehow you walk out with a scented candle, 3 throw pillows, a kitchen gadget you've literally never heard of, and absolutely 0 paper towels? Yeah, we've all been there. If you've ever wondered why you suddenly bought something you didn't really need, or why certain products just seem to physically pull you toward them in the aisle, well, you're in the right place. We're going to peel back the layers of modern marketing to look at the raw, unfiltered biology underneath. Because it turns out, our shopping carts are completely full of scientific secrets.
Back to nature. That is our rallying cry for this journey today. Seriously, I want you to temporarily completely forget about modern economics. Forget about the spreadsheets, the supply and demand graphs, the whole shebang of calculated cost-benefit analysis. When you're staring down a limited-time sale on a giant TV, your brain isn't running some rational financial model. Actually, scratch that. It's not even close to rational. We need to strip all that modern logic away and consider our primal instincts. We're navigating these modern aisles with brains that evolved literally hundreds of thousands of years ago. To truly understand the modern consumer, we absolutely have to go back to the biological basics.
Okay, let's dive into this. The core focus here is understanding the fundamental nature of human, and specifically consumer, behavior. It's not just about what we buy. It's about the deep-seated biological programming behind why we consume. You know, we love to think of ourselves as these highly evolved super-rational shoppers who carefully weigh every single penny. But the reality? A massive chunk of our spending happens on pure autopilot. Our behavior at the checkout counter is deeply tethered to ancient survival instincts. We aren't just shopping. Biologically speaking, we're hunting and gathering resources, and our brains reward us for it.
Section 1. Returning back to nature. So when we divide up the battlefield of our minds, these exact 2 main areas emerge as the primary forces behind our spending. On one side, we have our hardwired human biases. This is the psychological software creating all those mental shortcuts we use daily. And on the flip side, we have chemical drivers, specifically testosterone decision-making. That's the biological hardware pushing our physical impulses. We're going to unpack both the psychological and the chemical sides of this coin to see exactly what pushes us to pull out our credit cards.
Section 2. Decoding human biases.
Which brings us to a pretty confronting question. Are your consumer choices actually logical? I mean, be honest with yourself for a second. Think about your last really big purchase. Did you actually need the premium package with the heated leather seats? Or did you just really want it and then instantly invent a totally logical reason why it was a smart investment for resale value? We all naturally want to claim our choices are perfectly logical, but our rationality is very often compromised by mental shortcuts we don't even realize we're taking. We buy on emotion and biology, and we justify it with logic later.
And that's because human biases are a primary driver in consumer behavior. In fact, this whole first half of our journey is entirely dedicated to uncovering these ingrained biases. These aren't just tiny, minor mistakes in our thinking. They are the fundamental drivers of the entire economy. Take the scarcity bias, for example. When you're booking a hotel online and that little red text pops up saying, "Only 1 room left at this price," your primal brain absolutely panics. It senses a direct threat to your resources, and you frantically hit book now before logic even enters the chat. Or think about the anchoring bias. If you see a watch priced at $1,000 and right next to it is a very similar one for $500, suddenly that $500 watch feels like an incredible steal, even if your original budget was only $200. These invisible biases are dictating our actions every single day.
Section 3. Testosterone and decision-making.
Okay, so we know psychological biases play a massive role, but what about the physical, chemical drivers inside us? What biological factors actually hijack our rationality? It builds a bit of tension, right? Because it implies we aren't entirely in the driver's seat. We have to go beyond the psychology and look straight into the bloodstream. Hormones act as these incredibly powerful messengers in our bodies, and they can completely override our carefully laid financial plans with a sudden, overwhelming surge of chemical desire.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next focus, the specific impact of testosterone on the choices we make. It's a hugely critical area of study. And look, it's not just a hormone about building muscle. It's profoundly linked to risk tolerance and social status. High levels of testosterone are scientifically proven to increase risk-taking behavior and this intense drive for dominance. When someone feels competitive, testosterone spikes, and biologically, this hormone can literally suppress the rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. So suddenly buying that flashy sports car, or dropping cash on designer clothes, or making a wildly high-risk investment, it feels like a biological necessity to signal your status to the tribe, rather than a calculated financial choice.
Section 4. Mastering the module.
So bringing it all together, we can clearly walk through the 3 steps of the curriculum to summarize this journey. Step 1, learn human nature. We have to accept that our fundamental nature is primal. We're still wired for the ancient wild, not the modern mall. Step 2, uncover human biases. We need to recognize that invisible biases, like scarcity and anchoring, are constantly clouding our judgment and speeding up our spending. And finally, step 3, analyze testosterone decision-making. We have to understand that chemical drivers actively push us toward risk, reward, and status seeking. These 3 steps form the absolute, unbreakable foundation of our consumer habits.
Which brings us to this final thought. Next time you make a purchase, ask yourself, was it your choice or just your biology? Whether it's a brand new car or, honestly, just a cup of coffee at the corner shop, take a 1-second pause. Was this really your conscious, logical choice? Or was it just your ancient biology, your hidden psychological biases, and your hormones calling the shots? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy or, completely biologically driven shopping.